So in this tutorial, we're going to create another ornament or badge or sun catcher. And this time we're going to customize the font. And we're going to pick a font that's not a stencil font and um, use a tool that will preserve the insides from falling out to stencilify it. And we'll also show you how to add your own images or images that you want to use to personalize the ornament besides those that are in Google Draw, how to import those and use those. Let's get started. And you'll see a copy of the vector ornament that we were working on in the last tutorial. And what you'll notice is there's a rectangle here, there is an inner circle, and a large outer circle, and a small circle here. And for each of these, it was very important that the fill color be a nice contrasting color. I chose black, and the border be transparent in order to get a nice clean conversion in the pick to SVG conversion program that we used. So let's get started. This time, instead of using the shapes where I suggested that you stick with some of these primitive shapes and shapes that came with Google Drawing, that you might want to import some quality images and more personalized image for our ornament. So in this case, you can see that I have a couple roses here, and the text Rosie on cardboard and then on poplar is a fancier text than the stencil font that we used last time. Let me show you how I developed a workflow that made this possible. Again, we'll start where we left off with a template that is a couple circles and a rectangle in Google Drawing. And this time I would like to insert some images, but I would like those images to be more personal. So where will I find those images? I love to look icons for everything, and the Noun project is free, and you can download PNGs and use these icons as long as you have attribution for using the icons. I like it so much that I actually subscribe with the educator version of Noun Pro for 19 bucks a year. And that gives you royalty-free licenses and allows you to customize the icons also. And also a few different apps. So let's go and see what types of icons we could find. So I looked for rose, and I found several types of roses, some of which would work better than others for the type of design that I was looking for. Let me try to explain. Maybe I'll pick this one. In this particular one, the one on the right would work quite well. It would cut out a nice simple design. The one on the left would leave parts hanging, and this section here would fall out, the middle section. So you'll want to look around for different icons that will work well for the design that you're looking for. This would be another one that would work quite well. It's okay that this section falls out, and you'll be able to cut around it. The next thing you'll notice, I'm using Noun Pro because I've subscribed. You'll probably only have the PNG option and will have to attribute the design. If you have Noun Pro, you have the SVG option also, but in this case I only want the PNG option. so that because it will import into Google Draw just fine. Actually, let me look a little longer and see if I can find the one from the blog post. Here it is. Here's another one that I think is going to work well. So I'm going to download it as a PNG. It's in my download folder. And then I'm going to go to my, let me find the copy that I'm working with, and insert image, upload from computer, and I will get, now you'll notice that's way too big. So you'll want to resize that, and you can drag the handles, or you can hit the format option, hit size, and decide what size you want it. Let me try 2 by 2, make it nice and square. See if that will work. That's still a little too big for what I've got going on here. One by one's not quite big enough, but I'll drag it and make it a little bit bigger. What I want is for the rows to touch all the borders so that it's easy, so that it doesn't fall out. It gets connected to the borders. And when you want to nudge it up or down, you can hold shift down and that will move it in smaller increments. See, that's too much. Let's get it just right, but I want to have enough overlaps. And at the bottom I don't have any overlap here, so I'm going to make this whole shift down and make it a tiny bit bigger. There, perfect. Now I would like this to be flipped, another copy. So I am going to copy and then paste. But this time I want it flipped. And you'll notice that there is a flip tool here in the format options that we picked before. There we go. Now move it up. I'm going to move this over so that in this area right here I have a little bit more overlap. That should cut out fine. Maybe I'll go up a tiny bit. There. Now you'll want to do File and download it as a PNG. And you're probably downloaded, but we're going to find the SVG converter that I've been using. There are probably a few out there. This one seems to work really well. I am going to upload the PNG version of the vector that I just created. Of the rows that I just created. And here's my rows. And in this case, it looked like it picked a great filter. But sometimes I go around and try different versions to see what would work better and download more than one. I'm going to download this one. And also going to download this third one here. See which one will work better. Let's take a look at those two SVGs that were exported from the Pick SVGs. I'm going to hit Add Artwork, Upload, and let's upload this one first. It is processing it. And I'm also going to upload the other one. Well, let's make this one a little smaller. so we can see it, and I will upload the other one so we can see the difference. And here's the first one and the second one. I'm going to put both of them on cut, and we'll put them on cardboard cut for now. Put this one on cut and cardboard cut also. Even in the navigational bar here on the side, you can see the difference. That one looks much cleaner. I'm going to move this one over. Make them about the same size. It's a little hard to see the orange text. I'm going to expand or enlarge so that you can see it better. So notice that the first SVG, which was the one that was mostly just outline, actually has two lines, two double lines. I will cut twice. And it probably did that because it thought that it was getting a border in when it exported as an SVG because of the thickness of the line. And so even though it looked pretty good on the SVG program, it's not going to be a great cut. So I am instead going to take a look at this one. And again, I wish it was darker. But if you look carefully, and I'll put some pictures in the blog post so you can see the difference, you'll notice that's a nice clean cut. That Glowforge imported that nicely, and that was the one that was all filled in outline. The second one that we exported. So that's the one I'm going to use. I'm going to remove this one. And resize this one. And we will use the second SVG, and I'll also write the settings I used for that one in the blog post associated with this. So our next part that we're going to work on is how to create a laser cutter friendly font. As you will notice in this blog post where Tiffany Sang describes what happens when you use certain fonts with laser cutter, the middle falls out, and she does a great job in not only describing this, but has created a site called Stencilify, which will take most fonts and put cut lines in them so that the middle does not fall out, and will do so at all the right places. It's amazing. I would certainly suggest you go to her site, read about this. She's one smart lady. Here's what I did for my project. I went to fonts.google.com. I looked for some fonts that might work. I decided that the Pacifico font was going to work well after trying a few. And once you find the font that you like, you can hit select this font. And then I went down to where it was selected, found the red arrow for download, downloaded the font. And found the folder, unzipped it, And what we're looking for is the TTF font. I mean the TTF file. Do this thing. Went to Tiffany's site and she has a couple fonts already uploaded that you could try, but you'll want to upload your own font. Choose the file. Find the folder that has the downloaded TTF file. Click on the TTF file of the font you selected. Hit open. It will now appear down here. Sometimes it takes a little while. Type the text that you want stencified. In this case, it was the word Rosie. Here's what it would look like, where the O's would fall out and the E would fall out. But once it's been stencified, you'll notice there's cut lines in there that's going to keep those areas intact. Perfect, just what we want. We will hit Export SVG. It doesn't allow you to rename it, so just pay attention. This is stencil number 5. And then you go back to your Glowforge. So in Glowforge, you may remember that we had imported our SVG of the circle and the roses, and I left the rectangle blank so that I could customize it and maybe use the same template with different names. So now we're going to add artwork, and we are going to upload the stencil that we created, or stencified text, and it brings it in, and I have Rosie's name here. I'll make sure to put it cut in cardboard, since I'm going to do this from cardboard the first time. There we go. And Rosie's name is up here. Let me drag it. It's a great thing about the Glowforge is that you can easily see where you're placing things. And I notice Rosie's name is fairly well centered. Bring it down, just hold shift and down arrow to nudge it down a tiny bit. I'm going to leave plenty of space around it so that it doesn't break off while I'm cleaning it up and removing the tape that happened to me before. But overall, I think this is going to cut pretty well. Of course, hit print and go do your magic button. I hear my Glowforge starting up now. You can see that I cut a cardboard version first, and once I was happy with that, I put in some Poplar Proof Grade from Glowforge, and we got a nice cut out of that also. And there you have it, how to use your personalized images and fonts and not be limited to the stencil font and the shapes that Google Drawing offers you. So I hope you'll visit the createmakeLearn.com site and look at the blog and some other tutorials. And next time, we'll get into another Chromebook compatible way to work with laser cutting, and that will be to use Gravit. See you next time, and thanks to all Tiffany and all the other folks who create great websites that can help us create, make, and learn.